Hey, it's Sierra here. How's it going, kids? Princess. I stayed in tonight. Good girl. Um, I'm doing good. Pepper and I got back from our walk a little while ago. Again, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm this night owl. I only go for our walks like after midnight or 11, so I don't feel like everyone's looking at me and I don't want to get confronted by anybody. So I wait till late at night and we go for walks. It's also better for her. She's so curious. She jumps everywhere and wants to talk to everybody. But, so, mental health 3.0. I did one last night. It's kind of dragged on, and I was a little, I don't know. I'll probably put it up there. It was a little emotional. But, so mental health. I just did one like 20 minutes right here talking about what happened after the initial depression, gender identity disorder classification, and what we got into, what in the video that was too long, was how devastated I became, because shortly thereafter, after I was, the suicide prevention, I wound up like 2 weeks later getting attacked and assaulted outside Brody's by their bouncer and almost raped. I mean, he tried to rape me. He said that he was going to rape me and that I wasn't so tough and that he was going to rape me. And he ran across the parking lot to attack me, and I, planted my heels and leaned in and took him out. And, but that whole event, that whole thing just traumatized me, and I didn't realize how traumatized I was. Not just the fight and seeing all the blood come out of his, out of his head as it's just laying there knocked out. And I ran into the street and stopped a car, got in it, a taxi, luckily, and went home. And on the way home I called the police. They came to my house and arrested me and put me in jail. Even though they had viewed the video, they put me in jail, arrested me, and treated me like a man. They took my clothes off, stripped me on my porch, and threw me in jail with a bunch of men. They wouldn't clean my wounds. My hair was all matted from being in a wig all day, and my nails, my mascara was running. So it was miserable. I went to jail. And in there they told me that I was being charged with class 5 felony and severe bodily injury or something like that to him, and that I was in big trouble. Being in there was traumatizing. I spent the first couple hours on suicide watch, and then they convinced me that I didn't want to be on suicide watch because as they processed me, they would put me in a pen and they would, you'd be naked in the pen by yourself. So that you don't hurt yourself. I didn't want to do that, but everything got really real, being locked up in the holding cell and being accused of a class 5 felony after just defending myself from a rape. That wasn't my fault. I was trying to get in a taxi. I was in a dark parking lot, and then all of a sudden I was attacked. I was lucky enough to be able to fight him off and live and get away. The police showed up, and instead of taking my report, instead of, and I called I called them, told them where I live, and said I had been assaulted, and there was an attempted rape of my life. I got in a fight, I subdued the man, and I got in a car, and I'm here at my house. They came to my house, and they arrested me. They wouldn't have known where I lived. Nobody knew where I lived. I wouldn't, they would have eventually, but I called them to tell them what had happened. They came to my house, arrested me, and put me in jail. Charged me with a class 5 felony. The whole point being that all of that traumatized me incredibly. The blood, the fight, going to jail, and then when I got out of jail that morning, I had to walk for miles to get someplace where I could call a taxi. Didn't have any money. The taxi had to trust me and drive me all the way home, where I gave him some money. Blah, 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 blah. But then I was disgusted with myself and with Sierra, my choices being transgendered, and I blamed myself, and I took a shower to, I mean, I had all these wounds on my body from the fight. My ankles and legs were fucked up, and they wouldn't clean me or treat me at the police station. Nothing. They wouldn't do nothing for me. And then they even had a fucking nurse there, and I had to sit there. And the nurse, I said, "Well, can I clean my wounds?" She's like, "No, we don't do that here." Well, where else am I gonna go? This shit will infect them. I was there for 20 hours, and then the shit just being infected and all scabbing up. So eventually I got home and I cleaned up. But after cleaning up, I got out and I cut off all my hair and I cut all my nails, and I had abandoned Sierra. I had thought that I blamed Sierra, that she was horrible and that it was her fault, and that I needed to straighten out and not be this transgendered person. It was fucking up my life, and that I need to get my act together. And that all became Sierra's burden, and she got the blame for it, as though, you know, and I did not ask him to rape me. I didn't provoke anything, but I blamed myself because everybody else had blamed me. I cut off all my hair and punished myself, and I decided not to be myself anymore. So that's really traumatic, kids, all that stuff, and I didn't really get it. And then I wound up reviving Sierra because, well, what happened, I had to go to get a breathalyzer twice a week. I had to go to court all the time, go to the Superior Court and all these judges and things. And although, you know, they had me listed as Michael and a boy, in the whole report, in the indictment and everything, they didn't list me as transgender. They listed me as a boy, a man fighting a man, and that's not fair. I wasn't a man, I was a girl, and he attacked me because I was a girl. He got beat up because I'm a man, but he attacked a girl. And I was blaming myself instead of him. And I've always done that. And I was taking, you know, as well with the fight, instead of feeling victimized, I was feeling vindicated. Like, oh, well, at least I won. And everybody that I tell it to, they'd be like, well, you taught him. It's like, no, I was traumatized and I shouldn't have to fight all the time as a girl, and it's not fair. But I had all these court appearances, so I got up the courage to make Sierra go to court, and Sierra face the judge, and Sierra face her breathalyzers every day. And I wasn't doing, you know, I didn't have this wig on, I wasn't looking this pretty, didn't yet have the makeup talent that I have now, or the help that I got. And but I went downtown twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, face the judges, face the courts, face everybody, face my lawyers as Sierra. And I thought it was very important to basically show the world that no, a man didn't get attacked, a woman got attacked, and I needed to live in that woman in order to validate the fact that it was real. Like, I couldn't abandon her, I mean, I shouldn't anyway, but it was having to put it in the court's face and in the world's face that no, this transgendered person got attacked. It wasn't who, you know, you've got my name here, Michael Charles Mahar Jr., but he didn't get attacked. That guy would have been bullying everybody. He would have had his cowboy hat on. Nobody would even think about fucking with him. But me, pretty little cute Sierra, hi, being sweet and nice, people attacked her. They never attacked Michael. But they charged me as Michael, and they pretended like it was a man-on-man fight, and it wasn't. And I needed to be in my identity in order to show them and to show myself that it wasn't that way. I was attacked for being a woman, and having the courage to go down there every day and face the courts, face the judges and everything was pretty amazing and difficult. but took a lot of courage, and I had to kind of push things back, and I couldn't assimilate everything. At the same period, I went everywhere. Wingspan, called every lawyer in the book, through Wingspan, through everywhere, to look for representation. Nobody would represent me. Nobody would take my case. Everybody thought I was guilty. It was so traumatic for me going around and nobody helping me, nobody listening to me, nobody believing my story. And I had a public defender, luckily, and his wife had been diabetes, and he was kind of intrigued by me, you know, showing up at Sierra constantly, and he didn't believe me either, but due process, we got the video eventually through subpoena. They didn't even, the grand jury didn't get to see it. They had suppressed it over at Brody's, and the original detective didn't like me either, and he suppressed it, my lawyer said. But when it came out, it showed that I was attacked and that he tried to rape me, and they had to drop the charges. I, however, had, like most things in life, compartmentalized it and pushed it to the background. Eventually, it started leaking out and into my life as the reality of it, as the indictment was postponed, and I mean, they dismissed it, and my reality started to sink in, and I began to spiral into a pretty severe depression. I wasn't taking the medications that I was given because I couldn't afford them from the first thing, so I wasn't on the Wellbutrin, and I started to get really depressed. And somebody had invited me to Brody's, and I responded. I said, you know, I can't go. Sorry, Princess can't go. Ever since that attempted rape, they won't let me back in there for some reason. But have fun, everybody, and be safe. And then the person called me and said, you know, can you take that down because it's kind of interfering with my business? And I'm like, I can totally understand that. But at the same time, I felt like, you know, no one's listening to me. I mean, how can you ask me to take down that I had almost been raped, and that it's interfering with your fucking business, me almost being raped? And it just got me boiling mad, and I fucking flipped, and I wanted to kill that person. And to this day, I can't go near them because I'm afraid I'm going to fucking lose it on this person. And it's not their fault. They didn't know, and I don't know how this PTSD works, but I started having all this anger, and it started welling up, and I could see it happening, and me striking out at things, and then I would go into this deep depression about it, and just be in bed and not be able to do anything, and not knowing what's going on, and starting to reach out and tell people I'm sick or something's going on. And eventually it welled up to where I had to go back into suicide prevention. I started thinking about taking my gun out and killing myself. I didn't understand what was going on. I was acting out, and these veterans started to tell me, they see me, and they were like, you know, you're suffering from PTSD. You know, you can't concentrate, you can't finish anything that you start. The smallest things will take you from 0 to 100 immediately, and those are all signs of PTSD, and there's help for that. And I'm like, well, I don't understand, I don't know anything about this. And they're like, yeah, well, that's what you got. And I'm like, oh, but there's no treatment options. I don't have a hospital or anything. So I just spiraled into depression until I called some friends, and one of my nurse girlfriends, Annie, hi Annie, she took me into the hospital again, into Sam Hack, and they gave me another classification. Boom. So we'll get into that. It's 14 and a half minutes. I'm going to let you go. Thanks for listening. That was good for me, cathartic. I actually spent over 40 minutes and totally just erased the other one, 20-minute one. But I love you, friends, and I appreciate you listening. I hope it wasn't boring. It's kind of for me, so thanks for the therapy. You guys are all my therapists. Thanks for listening. I hope it's helpful. That's kind of stuff that would happen to me, but suppressing all that stuff is what hurts. God bless you. Bye. Love you. Mwah.